everybody. You are now tuned into PVD Horror. And today we are going over, good Lord, all of October releases, millions of events that we did. It was nonstop, like craziness. We did movie nights, pop-ups, and karaoke, and all the good stuff. So, guys, bam, let's start the podcast. Take it away.
Yeah, like Josh said, man, it's just been a crazy fucking month for October. We had a lot of shit lined up. You know, we kicked it off with Hal Havins doing a big project with the Coolidge Theater and the Spooky Show podcast. You know, shout out to those guys. And it was like a crazy night. What you guys think about that? You know, because just having everything come full circle, having Hal on the show, and then actually meeting him in person, you know.
Yeah, that was definitely a lot of fun to get to meet Hal and do it a little bit too late for my likings, but the midnight show is not the greatest for a bunch of middle-aged dudes, but
yeah, I go to bed at 8 p.m. So I said when we got the deal, I was like, Mark over at Coolidge, cool as hell, man. But I was like, I don't want to do a midnight show. And you guys were like, hey, we got the midnight showing. And I was like, oh, I knew I was going to die the next day. But basically with the midnight show, we did well. We did better than the trauma events that were there, which was pretty cool.
But it's not a competition. It's all good.
It's all about competition because my name was on it. So there it is.
It's all good.
Yeah, but we did well. And I gotta say, Hal, such a cool guy. Mm-hmm. And I haven't talked to Chris. Like, I've been running ragged, you guys know personally. But Chris, sometimes I get mad at Chris. But I love that guy. He's all right. And Hal Havins was super cool guy. Thanked him a million times. Such a cool guy. So awesome to hang out with. He even goosed my wife. So that was pretty funny.
Oh God. Yeah, it was a good time, being able to go out to eat with him before the show and, getting to know him a little bit more. And just, like I said, connecting with everyone at the Coolidge. Great staff. Can't appreciate everything that they have done. They were like really cool. So definitely shout out to Mark over there at Midnight Mark. So can't speak anything more than that. It's just thank you for everything that you guys done over there. And it was a great way to kick off the month. And then we kind of like went off and we had so many other events. We were able to work with like people like Hungry Ghost Press, doing like little pop-ups, doing like a movie night for Scream. And like we said, it's a good fun time. So, and then I was able to rotate and kind of like go right into our pop-up, little Shop of Pop-Ups Shop of Horrors Part 2. And shout out to all the vendors, that came out, Rock the Dead, Burnsing, like I said, Hungry Ghost Press, Hard Decor. And so like for that, we were able to kind of like have a lot of different collaborations with like Hard Decor. We had our own pillows, Hungry Ghost Press. We had like a new awesome exclusive shirt. And so it did well, a lot of people love it. So we had a good time. What do you guys think about that event?
You going, Dave?
It doesn't matter.
You know what? I was pissed. It rained.
It wasn't that bad.
I was hoping for like 2,000 people.
It was. I think if anything, that's a testament to how good it was. Is we had that turnout we did, and it was raining.
Yeah, people showed up in force in the rain. Like in the rain, outdoor vendors were making money. Everybody had fun. We had, shout out to Buttonwoods, man, making our PVD horror beer.
Yeah,
that was really cool, and it was funny. People were like, you either loved it or you hated it, but it was really cool, man. Like Creature Feature beer, I sent it out to a bunch of people just because, and it's pretty cool when you're just a couple of local guys doing a podcast trying to bring a community together, and people come out in force to support you and all the local vendors, and all the vendors were mad cool. So many good, like shout out October Cult was there. They were awesome. I love Aaron Beauregard. He was super cool. Mark from Three Geeky Dads, Werewolf of the Chainsaw was there, and man, I got issue number 3, and I was so excited. Yeah, and there was just so much cool stuff there, man. It was a cool day all around.
And shout out to Origin Beer Project also. They were also a part of the event. So, it was a good day. I mean, Haven Brothers came out. We had that. So it's a big staple in Rhode Island. So everybody was happy about that, having like some cheeseburgers. Did you get the murder burger, Josh? I think that your wife got that for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, that was a really cool event. So we had done the Vortex Film Festival. We helped out Sean with that at where I forget where it was. The zombie place was really awesome. And then he did another one the Friday, and I went, and I got to meet all these like filmmakers from all over the world, and that was really cool. And they showed up at the pop-up, which was even more awesome. So I got to hang out with them for a while. So that was really, really cool. And it was really cool because my wife was there. And when we do events, she doesn't really care because it's our event, but she went to this one. So I got to hang out with her and some of my other homies from all over the world. And it was just such a cool time. So I dug it, man. I dug it.
Good. That's good. Then we also had the Rock the Dead karaoke party that we, just had a big Halloween party, just, to kind of like end the month the right way, to kind of just let everybody have fun. So, Josh, you didn't dress up, man. I was a little disappointed about that,
I have a unicorn horn, and I forgot it at home. I worked late that night, so I ran home, and then I was like, I ran straight there, like I ran home to do something for Max. And then I left, and I left all the stuff I needed. I called in some empanadas, grabbed them on the way. And then I got there, and I was like, oh, and I was like, I had the empanadas in hand, and luckily we weren't set up yet. But karaoke is not my thing either. I do not like the karaoke. So yeah. It was cool to see her.
Shout out to Dave Thrash, our sound guy. He came through with everything.
Is that his last name?
Yeah.
Thrash?
Yeah, that's what he told me. So I don't know.
I never knew that.
But
Dave Thrash,
Dave, the sound guy. If like he says, if he wasn't there, our events wouldn't be the same. So we appreciate him coming out, setting up everybody's requests, having a good time, so seeing a lot of same faces that we all, and then we were able to see a lot of new faces at this event. So I don't know about you.
That's the cool thing about when we like utilize the space. Obviously we have our own like community that comes together for horror, but every now and then we'll have an event and there'll be just people there because they're going to like, Buttonwoods Brewery or they're friends with Origin. So like people that maybe wouldn't come to like a horror event, they're coming, and then suddenly like there was definitely a couple of tables there that were there just because it was the brewery and they were dressed up, not PVD horror people, but now like, they're hopefully they'll be coming to our future events and they had a good time. So,
so, hey, like I said, I can't say how well October was, I mean, it's like, also, we had Monster Expo. Fuck, how can we forget about that, and
that was a big one.
And Mark Patton Q&A after the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, that was really awesome to get to chat with him. And he's an incredible guy. He's like just, he's so vulnerable and just tells you everything. And, he's just super, super honest in himself 100%. And like, he got like a little weepy eyed a couple of times during that Q&A. It was just cool to see him immediately like show that it's okay to go there and like talk like that in front of a group of people that he's never met. And and he also was like, he came up to us after and a few times throughout and just was like talking to us like he knew us forever.
No, he's a good guy. Like I told him before, because I met him back a few years ago in Salem, and my kids were able to meet him and everything like that, and so they still remember that to this day. And like they were like, oh, we were able to meet the guy from A Nightmare on Elm Street too, like because it's just his personality, like you were saying. It's just like he just connects with people, and it kind of makes you feel like you know him for a long time. But also, it was kind of cool seeing one of the guys in the audience kind of tell him, how much his documentary meant to him, and how, for years he had to hide and feel a certain way about the way he was, being coming out and everything like that. So I thought like that was cool, that Mark was able to make this documentary for people just like him. And I can't say like, I mean, it's just an awesome experience, and it was a good time. So definitely look forward to him. We're gonna have him on the podcast, talk a little bit more. That was supposed to happen so many times, but I think that Q&A definitely set everything up where the conversation that we would have on the podcast would definitely be more like a better conversation because we know each other more now.
Sure. And it was meeting Beatrice, who played Nancy Kruger, and Eric Anderson from Nightmare on Elm Street 5 as well was awesome. Both super cool. Nightmare on Elm Street 5 is a gem. It's an overlooked one. So
yeah.
Beatrice's book, man. It's I love it. It's like the Basement Made book, and it even has whiteout through a couple of lines. Like, so she went through and like literally whited out a typo on every copy, and I was like, oh, it's not on Goodreads or Amazon or anything like that. She's like, nope, you can only get it through me. She was super cool about it. She hit us up on the social media like, hey, would you mind doing a review for it? And I was like, oh, I'm more than happy to. Like, and it takes her as a mom in the film and just gives it this entire backstory.
cool.
So it was pretty cool, like super cool. And also at that event, shout out to Mark Patton, going through a lot of stuff personally. And Mark Patton literally pulled me aside, and we had a couple of conversations through the day. And what a sweet guy. What a sweet guy. Mark Patton, if you're listening, you're my hero. And then we also did the world premiere of The Devil's 2 from I thought I was really nervous because I was like starring in that, and Andrew Munster was shaking in his boots. But we got a lot of people to come in from the convention, and shout out to Joe for letting us do it, man. I asked him, and he was like, "Yeah, it's you got that room from this time to this time." So super cool.
Got my Devil's 2 poster right here, baby.
Yeah.
Is it signed by the whole cast?
Did you sign this, Josh, or no?
Yeah, I think so. David's the only one that didn't sign it, and he was the cult leader. David Torres Jr., I think it is. He's super nice guy.
David Del Toro.
He was going to come and help out at our table. He was like, "Hey, can I just help out at your table?" But he got booked for a movie that day. So
I just want to know which scribble is yours.
The one that looks like a J.
None of those look like a J. Good. I didn't want mine signed by you, so that's good.
You know what? I was gonna sit there and say, I was definitely shocked by your acting skills, Josh. You did a really good job, and I would definitely put The Devil's 2 as one of my slept-on films. Because I definitely went into that thinking like, okay, this is Josh. I don't know how this is gonna go, and so I was actually just sitting in the back of the room, just watching the film, and I was just like, "Oh shit! Like this guy's like really doing a good job." Like I mean, and I know it takes a lot for someone to kind of go and just kind of like make a film, even like a short film or whatever. But like I said before, like everybody that goes out there and tries to commit to that project, and I want to just tell you, man, I was just proud of you because it was just like I know you're a married man, but you were in there married to another woman, and I don't know how your wife felt about that.
Well, I prefer me some darker skinned ladies, and my lady is white as could be. So she's like, she sees the headshot of Cassandra Ackerbloom, and she's like, you're gonna act with this lady, and you're gonna be married to her in the movie. And I was like, yeah. And then she showed up in the Elvira outfit, and I was like, no pictures with you because but she was super cool, man. She was super cool. You know, in a movie, everybody's respectful. It's not like it was a thing, you know. So it was really
joking with you. You know,
it was we just laughed, you know, because she is like pretty decent looking girl. So and Andrew was super happy that we got to show it, and no one left after we showed it. I was like, yeah, we're gonna do a Q&A. If you want to leave, you can, but we're just gonna do a quick Q&A. Not one person got up.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, it didn't suck. Yes.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, Josh. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, definitely shout out to Andrew Munster. It's great work. You know, he sits there. He loves a lot of Rob Zombie films, and you can see that he incorporates that into his style of film. So I was telling him, I was like, dude, you can definitely like do a sequel to this film. And he's like, yeah, I think maybe down the line, you know. I'm like, all right, well, definitely there's a lot of ideas that you can kind of like roll with that film. So I'd definitely like to see it again. Have Josh come back like Grandpa Seth from Troll 2 and there's like a ghost. So, dude, Josh, how can everybody check this film out, you know, for everyone else around the world?
It's not out yet. We premiered it, and then we put it Andrew put it in, so it's actually Andrew Durand is his real name, but he goes by Andrew Munster on the socials. But if you look at the film, it's by Andrew Durand. I'm going to be putting it up on the IMDb because I forgot. But right now, he is thinking about Trauma again. Like, has 2 of his other short films, but he wants to hold on to it to try to put it in a few more festivals.
Josh, what are those 2 other short films that he has?
I don't know. I watched them
up on Trauma, but I didn't know if it was him or not.
Yeah. One of them, oh my God, I can't even remember it. And I watched them both like 3 or 4 times just because I wanted to see what I was in for when I went to this thing. And it's funny, I actually watched one of them with him, and I can't for the life of me remember because now I'm on the spot. Right. And as soon as we get off this thing, I'll be like, oh, it's this one and this one.
Yeah.
I think it was like Slaughter Road and
oh, okay. I think that was the ones I saw on there.
Yeah. So anyway, so so the big takeaways are definitely if you're in Boston, check out the Coolidge Theater, right? Definitely if you're in Mass, go to Monster Expo because it's a cool convention. And then go to Buttonwoods Brewery because they have PVD horror beer.
And then grab a beer at Origins while you're at Buttonwoods.
They're right across from them. Right across. There you go. Dude, Origin was they were killing it. They're so cool. I love them.
And then we're gonna kick it back off because it's like getting back into movie nights, you know. And so on November 18th at 8 p.m. at Buttonwoods Brewery, we're showing one of Josh's favorite films. And it's kind of it's a little funny hidden gem for him because we had a whole episode about this film about someone stealing the VHS and he thinks that it was me. But just to let you know, Josh, just because you think I stole it, I bought you the Blu-ray. All right, we got the special edition Blu-ray. So we're going to have that for you at the movie night. And so we'll let you talk about this film since everybody wants to, if everybody wants to know what film this is, Josh, please explain this film and why it means so much to you.
You know what? I haven't seen it since I had it on VHS. So I'm a little rusty, but Jack O. And basically it's like this underground slasher and it's basically a Pumpkinhead man.
With Linnea Quigley.
Huh?
With Linnea Quigley.
Yeah.
That's right. She was in it. Yep. I hadn't seen that. I think I watched it maybe a couple of years ago now when we posted about it or something, but when we first started this thing. But I don't remember much about it. That's why I'm so excited.
I watched it that year that I did Beers and Scares with it, I think, and that's why it came up. And then we started talking about it, and it's something.
It is something.
A fun one. It's going to be a fun one to watch with the crowd. I
think. I'm actually pretty excited to see it on a big screen, and you know, Dave does really good sound, so we talked about it. He's coming to do the sound, and he was like, "So what's the film this time?"
Was
And I
that
was
Dave
like,
Thrash?
"Dude, yeah,
Thrasher.
Thrash. Dave Thrash." Yeah, I'm super excited for that. So
I still have not seen this film yet, so it's gonna be a little special event, you know. I've seen a few
oh,
posts
my
about it.
VHS, you didn't even watch it?
I'm gonna wait. I want it to be a special night. You know what I mean? I want to
I
pop
better
my
get that
Django
VHS
cherry on our movie night.
with a bow and everything.
I think that that film came on like 95 or something.
Yeah,
So
it's in the 80s.
it has that 80s style look to it, but it's a 95 movie. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if it lives up to the hype of one of Josh is so bad it's good, or is that like a slept on?
It's probably both.
I'd say it's both. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, definitely. Well, can't wait to check that out. But you know, overall, I just have to say, man, 2022 has been a fucking crazy year for horror. You know what I mean? We had so many films that we were able to see before they came out, and some films at the theater. You know what I mean? So it was just like it's been a good year. What do you guys think about this year in general for films?
Definitely a lot of solid films this year.
No.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite year for film, but it's definitely been one with like just one after another of like
Yeah.
just, enjoyable films. I don't know. I'd have a hard time this year kind of like picking like there's no like to me this was the one that was like definitely my film of the year.
Mhm.
But there's just a lot of solid ones, and I know I'm probably forgetting one, and that's probably why I can't think of the best film so far. But
Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
I haven't watched a super lot this year.
Mhm.
Last year I watched like 200 and something films. This year I've been watching a lot of shorts that have
Mhm.
come out. Especially because we did the Vortex Film Festival, and I went through a lot of stuff there. And then we got Nocebo, which I had already seen through something else. I don't know if it was through Vortex or something else, but there was a couple of films that had come out. A lot of independent stuff has been really good this year,
Mhm.
and a lot of YouTube stuff that a lot of the YouTubers are making. Man, their stuff's getting good. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So
Yeah, I seen that, you know, because everybody's been doing that Friday the 13th fan film. Someone actually made like a Scream fan film, and it was decent. You know, I don't watch all of it from what I've seen. It was like good quality, you know, good acting and stuff like that. So I don't know the name of it, but shout out to those guys. You know, if anyone that listens to us, check out fan films from Scream on YouTube, and you won't be upset. It looks pretty good. But you know, also kind of like talking about Scream, it's fucking crazy. Scream 6 is gonna be coming out on March 10th. Like it's already set, you know what I mean? And I know that was like one of the big films last year that
that's
we were
quick.
able to kind of go together and go see in the movie theater. I think that was our first film that we've seen together, all three of us.
Yeah.
Because we would always go separate to the theater. But yeah, it's coming out March 10th. I'm not sure
That
how
seems
long.
like very fast filming.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah, because that was the big thing about it. So we'll wait and see, you know, because I know that before we talked about it, Nev Campbell is not gonna be in it. That's what they say, but like I'm still sitting there thinking that she might make like a little
I mean,
special appearance in it or something.
it's months away. You would think that if she
Yeah.
was, then by now we would have heard something, but who knows, I guess.
Nah, I think it's gonna be like a little Easter egg or some shit, or you know what I mean, just something. They can't make that film without her, you know, because I guess it's taking place like they go to New York, so it's like the four kids that survived from that film are leaving town to kind of like set up and trying to put the past in the past, and Ghostface just never stops, you know, wherever you go. So
It's always
definitely.
a ghost.
But also, there was another film that we were talking about. It's so crazy. I was sitting there looking up today. 28 days later, that shit's 20 years old, man. Like, how the fuck did that happen? I remember when that film first came out, and
It actually, to me, seems like it's been longer than 20 years. I feel like that was a lifetime ago that I saw that film. But yeah, I saw something about them
Yeah.
talking about 28 months later.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So that's why I guess the script's been done. So like the writer and the director, they've been just kind of just like saying like, hey, this it's coming soon. So that's why I had seen the update that 28 days later was fucking 20 years old.
I don't know if you can capture, like, it would probably be more in line with like the sequel 28 weeks later, because you can't capture that like vibe in the first one ever again, because it was just so unique for the time that it came out. Like like found footage was really just like starting to become a thing that was a little more popular. But like that, like, I don't know, something about the cinematography of that film is just amazing. I don't think it can never be replicated.
It also had fast zombies.
Yeah. And now we've seen it 1,000 times. So that's also
at that time there were no real running zombies. So it was because that was a big thing. Like, hey, there's this zombie movie and the zombies run. Like that was a big thing. And you know, like I'm sure there were a couple. Like Garden of the Dead came out in the 70s and they ran in Garden of the Dead, but that doesn't count, you know. So for a mainstream fan, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Running zombies. Now it's like so commonplace. Every zombie runs. So
when I had said the thing about found footage, I do realize like it's not a found footage film, but there's something about like the camera angles they use that almost make it feel like it's like intentionally lower budget like cameras or something like that. And like the angles, it's almost like you're watching somebody taking a home video or something at times. It's weird. But the sequel is more like a typical blockbuster movie, I feel like, which is probably more what we'll get.
I can't wait to check it out, you know. But also in news, shout out to our friends, you know, Jagged Edge Productions. I know that's one of Josh's like favorite.
It is.
You know, they got the green light. The Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey film will be in theaters for one night only on February 15th. So, you know, those guys, shout out to those guys because they work hard. They're pumping out films all the time. We had a few of the guests on the show you guys were able to talk to, you know.
So
it was pretty awesome.
I think it's going to be funny because like this is obviously getting huge responses because it's Winnie the Pooh. I almost feel like we're in on this like inside joke though, because like I think Josh and I have watched enough of those types of their films to know like what it's probably going to look like. I think, and we're both in for it. Like I know that, like Josh, you know, I know you're a fan. I've been
history. So Proportion Productions was two guys basically, right?
No, it was a guy and a woman, right? It wasn't Jeffrey Scott, and then it was
there was like two people though, and then one guy just made Jagged Edge Productions and split, and Jagged Edge kept the same mentality of Proportion Productions. Hey, I got 100,000 movie, 100,000 movie, 100,000 movie. Very, very like Roger Corman-esque, and they like the ideas are solid. But with 100,000 movie, you have a very limited budget for special effects. So what people are seeing is, oh my God, Winnie the Pooh's going crazy. What they're going to see on film is a giant bear that probably isn't going to look 100% like a CGI killer Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I'm a little nervous about the backlash to this, or like what that's going to do for them. It's obviously getting a lot of attention.
I'm such a fan.
And
you like we've talked about so many of their films at this point. Man, I would love to talk to you. Remember, like, when he comes on the show, I'm gonna tell him you said I wish the mask moved. Remember it? I can't remember. Like Jack in the Box.
Humpty Dumpty.
That's right. So we like as a fan. I'm like ecstatic that this is happening. Like, good for them. They're gonna make millions off this movie and be able to keep going for another 5 years just off this one movie. Which means that's 5 years of $100 or $100,000 films that I get to love, whereas everybody else is gonna be like, you know.
business way, they're really smart with the business style, the style of things that they do, because it's like, who would think, like, okay, fine, Disney didn't renew the rights to Winnie the Pooh, oh, let's pick this up and make this a fucking
Yeah.
horror film, you know what I mean? And so when I had seen that, like, because it was a lot of people saying, how the hell are they doing that, they're gonna get sued by Disney, and I'm like looking into it, because I'm like, all right, well, the rights, they didn't pick it up, you know, so it was kind of like cool, like, you know, looking at it that way. It was just like, all right, these guys cover their fucking asses before they even try to make a film, because, you know, how quick things can kind of get like shut down just because of like, hey, we own this and you can't do that. And it's like right now Disney can't really even say anything. So
these guys, like Proportion Productions before Jagged Edge, it was like genius with their marketing. It was like they were making like these like ripoffs of big name horror films, and it was like the best marketing ever. It's like Pet Graveyard for Pet Cemetery, and I mean, and then when they got to Jagged Edge, they did the Jurassic something. Josh, you saw it, I think.
Is it Jurassic World?
They did it was something Jurassic.
Yeah.
It was right around the time that like one of the Jurassic Park sequels came out, and it was like these guys are just on it. They're just on. They're constantly looking for things to draw in an audience.
But here's the thing: it didn't stop there. And they're right now in the works making a fucking Peter Pan movie, Neverland Nightmares.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so there's just like so much more to it. It's just like, okay, we're gonna release this film, and then like in the process, they're working on a fucking Peter Pan movie. So it's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, like, congratulations to Jagged Edge Productions. Like, I love the way that you guys do business and your marketing skills. Like,
it's their distribution. Their distribution's good because they're on almost every streaming platform, and they're like on the shelves in almost every Walmart.
Yeah.
So, like, fucking kudos to them, man. Like walking into Walmart and seeing like, you know, Child's Play, Freddy, and then like Medusa.
Yeah.
What? Like in the same aisle. I love it.
And I love that, like, you know, Sarah T. Cohen was one, and Georgina Jane. I know Sarah T. Cohen is still doing those films, and she was amazing. Georgina Jane, I think I saw her somewhat recently in one of their films, but I just love how they're like loyal to the people they work with, and the people they work with are super loyal to them. So that has to say something really positive about this company.
Yeah. You know, so I'm excited for that, and kudos to them. Even if there is a backlash, it's your opinion. So
exactly. I just people should kind of do their research of what types of films they're getting into. But
it's the same thing. Like when you go to the theater and you went to the movie store and you went to go rent Jack Frost, and you ended up with fucking other. You're thinking you're getting Michael Keaton, and you got the other fucking movie, and you're like, what the fuck? So. Hey, it's a smart marketing, and look what it did for Jack Frost.
It's funny though; people really are talking about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Like people that know nothing about horror in general are talking about it. It's out there. People are going to see this. This is going to be great.
Josh, get Andrew Munster on the phone. We got to talk about some new films. You know what I mean? Research and see what fucking rights aren't renewed.
You know what? That's been a big thing this year. This was the first year, you know, when I was younger, I used to travel all over the place, and, you know, I used to drink and drug with a lot of celebrities. You'd be surprised. And no one believes me when I tell them, because, you know, look at me, you know, but, you know, my kids are older now. So, this year was like the first year that I got to leave the house. Like, it was the first time I left for more than 24 hours. I've been in, I think three movies, and you know, I really got to connect with a lot of independent horror film, which is where I love to be there. And it's just awesome that this year, specifically with Terrifier 2 in the theaters, and then now with this Winnie the Pooh getting so much traction, they're going in the theaters. That's opening up that independent market like you wouldn't believe. So
Terrifier 2 just hit 10 million.
Dude, I am so thrilled with the independent, like,
crazy,
finally getting a chance. Thank you, COVID. You know,
they made, like you said, 10 million on a 250,000 crowd fund. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. Nuts. So definitely shout out to Damien and David, and the whole crew. But once I heard, Dave was in the theater throwing up and fucking passing out and shit in his pants, I was like, oh man, this movie's gonna be crazy. And then it made headlines, like, you know what I mean? With Dave out there doing all that stuff. And I think that's what fucking made this film like so much, because when I heard that shit like in the news, I'm like, all right, this shit's gonna be crazy. And I can't wait to check it out, because like when we met Damien and David back in 2018 at, what was it, Scarecon?
Scarecon, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what I mean, and we were kind of just talking about Terrifier too, because they were in the process of like getting everything all set, and like Damien had pulled us to the side and showed us like the cover for Terrifier 2, and he was like, yeah, this is gonna be so crazy, and like all the ideas, and then having David on the show, and he was just sitting there telling us, because at that time the film was like basically like almost done, but they had to go back and do like a few reshoots and shit. So and we had Dave on the show, he was just telling us it's just gonna be so fucking brutal and crazy. And I'm just like, just watching the movie and just thinking back when we had him on the show, of everything he was saying. I was like, dude, this guy did not lie about one fucking thing.
No, it is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts movie.
Sweet deal.
Nah. So for everyone that has not checked out Terrifier or was able to check that out in the theater, it's streaming right now on Screenbox and will be available in December. Yeah, there was just so many things about that film. Dave, you want to talk about like the things that you did like about the film?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, first, where do you start? This movie was like, all right, so I'll just kind of like go into like how I went into it. I went into it kind of assuming it was just going to be more of a continuation of the first one, which in some ways it is, but then in some ways it's not. And take everything you know about reality and just throw it out the window, like the way how people die. Like, you don't know shit. Like, people don't die the way that you're supposed to die. Yeah, they definitely took more of a comedic turn, which the first one had elements of, but then kind of ditched for straight up like suspense, thriller, terror. Like the first one, I'll never forget. I watched it with alone with the lights off, and I remember being like, wow, this is actually intense. And this one was more sit back, enjoy the ride. It's, like I said, throw reality out the window. You don't need it for this 2 hours and 10 minutes or however long it was. The special effects, the gore is, if you are a gore lover, if you love practical effects, there is no way you're walking out of this one disappointed. Absolutely no way. It is everything I love about practical effects and more. Yeah.
It was fucking nuts, man. And so I think everyone was satisfied. And like I said, I wasn't able to watch that film in the theater. I wish I was able to, but sometimes like all the showings were like really late at night. And so like, man, I work overnights and shit. And so I was like, fuck, man. It was like one of those films I wish I could have seen. But like I said, we were able to see it on Screenbox, and I don't know, but someone pulled some funny shit. I'm not sure how that film leaked onto YouTube the day before it came out on Screenbox. And so I think that sucks, that
somebody, whoever they had like their, how like when you get screeners, it says like your name.
Yeah.
There was something on the, because I looked at it, but I was like, I'm not gonna watch it like this because it's gonna be on Screenbox tomorrow, so I'll just wait. But I hope they have to pay, because that's not cool to do that to a movie. That's like,
I was like, fuck. I'm like, it's on there, but I'm like, damn. I'm like, I don't know. I've seen a few posts about it, but it sucks. But overall, I'm hearing that we might get 2 more Art the Clown sequels just from like the success of this film. And so, I think I think after the 2 films, I think, Damien's going to try to like move on. But like for me, like I have been saying since we kind of like started this podcast, it was just like, we kind of depend on Chucky, Freddy and Jason every year or every other couple of years to kind of make a film to carry on horror, and I always was saying, man, we need something new. And so Art the Clown definitely set the tone. And like with this film, he's right up there with those icons now, to everyone around the world, because it was just the way that like things are being done, because you have Jason, Freddy, and everybody, and it's getting watered down. And it was like Art the Clown just fucking set the tone for everyone in this fucking film, because it was just like you're watching this movie and the kill, like Dave said, the practical effects, it's like, what the fuck? It was like once the kill happened and it was just like, all right, that's cool. And it was just like this dude leave the fucking room and then come back again and still continue to like fucking go to town. And I'm just like, this is fucking nuts. Like, the kills were so long, and then like it was crazy.
It was, and they're like, just they did anything and everything that you could possibly want to see done to somebody in a horror movie, not in real life, but like absolutely insane. And also, I love the fact they don't bother trying to make sense. Like to me, that was important because the first one is so serious, but like we don't know why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what makes it stand out. That's what makes it kind of eerie. And usually in the sequel, they'll start to give it a storyline or something. And there's like this little thing in there that like tries to explain something, but they don't ever really explain Art. He just exists. He's just brutal. He's vicious. He is like the worst being ever. And that's just what he is. And that makes him scary. He's just like, he's just going to kill anybody and everybody. So there's no like, oh, he's after this person because of this. It's like, no, he's going to kill literally everybody.
Yeah. And like you said, the story itself, I thought that was cool because it was just like it gave Art that off-screen time, you know what I mean? Because in the first film, he really didn't have like off-screen time. It was like him going back and forth, and then they were able to put this family together that like did well and kind of like set things up for Art to come back. So it was cool. So the actress that was like the main, I forgot her name.
I saw it. I had it earlier. I was looking, just trying to find it. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, she's being thrown up there as like one of the like new final girls and everything like that.
Lauren Lavera.
Yeah, and even the brother, and the mom. It was a good break to give Art.
I can't remember his last name. Is Elliot something? He did a good job. Yeah, but Lauren was like so likable, so like believable as an actor. She did an amazing job. And then you're right. Their storyline didn't take away from the other stuff. I actually found it kind of enjoyable. The time that they were on the screen, it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait till we start seeing some more killing. I was totally fine watching them for their piece of it and how it integrated with Art. But big shout out to Elliot Fulham and Lauren Lavera. Just amazing job.
Yeah, and also, we had people like big names from horror. We had Felissa Rose in there. I thought she was going to play like a bigger role. I did too. But I thought it was going to be a bigger role. But I think that was fine. The role that she had, it wasn't bad. It was cool just to see her on the screen. So, and also
I thought she was going to get killed. I thought she would want to, it seemed like something. But yeah, it's all right.
And all the wrestling fans, at the end of the film, Chris Jericho, big WWE, WWCW, AEW fans. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were happy from that. But he's a big horror fan. He started off one of the seasons with Joe Bob. He was able to be in that film, and he even talked about it in one of the interviews, saying that his role was actually cut down a little bit more because when they had to go back and do a reshoot, the film had to be changed at the end because I guess during that time, the way Damien had the film ending, one of the film, they didn't name the film, they're not saying it, but a film that came out had the same ending as Terrifier 2, so they had to do the last part of the film over. So I think that's why, like, if you stay, like, they set this one up, Josh, kind of like a Marvel movie. You stay for after the credits, and you get the little Easter egg, so that plays a part that happens. And so I think that was kind of like second little thing that they threw in on the fly because a different film had taken the ending that they wanted. But I think for a lot of people, that if you did stay at the end of the theater or didn't check it out, definitely check it out because it will set up for the third film. to kind of keep things going.
Yeah, I did try to watch it, but I couldn't get into the screen box.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I think a lot of people were having problems with that on all different accounts. You were saying Roku, right?
Yeah, so I can only get apps on a Roku now, and they have a lot of apps and stuff. It's the only thing I can use. My phone doesn't work, and I don't use my phone for that anyway. And the smart TVs don't have it. So I did try to get it on Roku, but the password had an underscore, and Roku doesn't have an underscore. That's an underline thing, right? Underscore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't get in, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, so I was pretty pissed. I didn't get to see it. I actually set aside time in my busy schedule to do that, and I didn't get to see it. So you guys are talking about it, and I'm all bummed.
No, you can definitely check it out. But like this, it's crazy because it's like how well this film is doing. Like it's been submitted for a fucking Oscar. You know what I mean? So it's like they did it. You know,
Yeah.
it's making the headlines, and so I think someone submitted it for the Oscars, and then the Oscars kind of like sent a retweet back with like the eyes to the side, like you know what I mean? Like they it's on their radar. You know what I mean? So shout out to Damien for definitely believing in taking horror to that next level and kind of giving us what we need and as horror fans. But at the same time I was watching this, Dave, I was just like, fuck. I'm like, the horror that we grew up on is not going to be the same for like my kids when they're older and down the road, because it's just going to a whole nother fucking level, man.
It's
crazy.
Sometimes I wonder, is like this movie probably shouldn't be watched by kids.
No,
This is like really, really violent.
and that's the thing. It was like my kids, I never really let them watch the first Terrifier. Like there's certain movies, like my kids watch all movies, but that wasn't one of the movies I was like, hey guys, come watch this with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was just watching it with Lauren, and then so she was like, yeah, the kids can't watch this, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so. But then when Xavier came over, he goes, yeah, I seen Terrifier 2 with my friends. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like,
Man, kids watch everything these days, so it's like hard to stop them. It really is. I was actually wondering that. I was wondering if you were going to let your kids watch them, because I was watching that and I was like, how many kids are probably going to watch this movie just because of like everybody talking about it. It's all over.
Yeah.
It's all over. And I was like, this is a violent ass movie.
No.
It is brutal. The Clown Cafe, Josh, one second. I was just going to say the Clown Cafe part. A lot of people are talking about how that song in the Clown Cafe.
Yep.
Yeah, that's catching on.
Yeah, that song was out a while ago, because I remember when we were doing kind of promo for when David was on the show and shit before, and that song came up.
Oh,
like,
okay.
A story, but it's funny now. It's kind of getting that buzz.
The Clown Cafe.
And like I was saying, when I was watching the film, I was like, this is crazy. And then I was like, hey, I'm messaging Dave right now, David Howard Thornton right now, and saying like, congratulations on everything. And he messaged back and he was just like, oh, thanks so much. And I was like, we gotta have you back on the show again and kind of just talk about this fucking film. And so he was just like, yeah, he's gonna be down. So we're gonna have him back on the show and kind of talk about everything that's going on now. And like, shout out, he's the fucking top 50 actor on fucking IMDb right now. So that's crazy.
Twitter didn't want him, but IMDb, I guess, will have him.
Yep. And so
the hell we call Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter's going to hell right now.
And that I was gonna say, the actress Lauren, the people on Twitter are just so shitty sometimes. Like there's so many supportive people. Like everybody we follow on Twitter is mostly supportive of movies and actors and actresses. But like I went to her page because she had posted something. I guess people are confusing her with another actress who's like 44 or something like that. I didn't look at all the backstory, but she had to basically just like way over like have to tell people about her personal life because people are just being really shitty towards her for no reason. Like what's the point of that?
That's crazy. In other headline news, what was it? We have Halloween Ends, that the big controversy of how things have gone, this whole trilogy, just over the last few years. And then everyone has their opinions on it. I have mine, and Dave, you have yours, and Josh, you have yours.
Josh,
So
I'm
break it down.
super intrigued to know what you thought of it because you're not a Halloween fan.
Yeah.
Not at all. So here's the thing. We watched it as a family. It was me, my son, my wife. My wife was like, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
Max hadn't seen the I mean, we watched the original Halloween together, but he hadn't seen the rest of them. And he
Okay.
was like, this is so dumb. And I was like, I love this. And they're like, what? And I was like, Michael Myers only did peekaboo a couple of times, and that was it. The rest of
Yeah.
the story focused on these kids, and it was a good story. And so you take Michael Myers and out of it, and all of a sudden you have a good movie. I was like, huh, who'd have thought?
Halloween
So,
3.
yeah,
Season of the Witch.
right? Which
It really
is
does go to show you maybe his original direction, John Carpenter's original direction of making it the Halloween series be like different stories probably was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't, like, I'm not gonna knock, like, what Halloween has done for the genre. Dan, I was thinking of Daniel the whole time I watched it. I'm like, I wonder if they read the Bible, but what they did do was, I'm not even going to say his last name on this podcast. All right, Dave, I see you looking. But what they did do here was something different, and it worked. Like the embodiment of evil and evil moving and changing shape. And I was like, wow, I wish they had done this with Halloween 2. That would have saved so many bad sequels.
Sure.
So, but you know what? Everyone else hated it. So
yeah, well, you have that those group of people that just love Michael Myers, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't know. And then like you also have to take into consideration that, some of these people, this trilogy is the first time them watching any Michael Myers films. You know what I mean? Like they probably didn't watch the originals or anything like that. So it's like, now these days I don't really even kind of go into it and kind of like give my opinions. Because everybody has their own shit. I don't like the same shit as everybody else. I don't like the same shit as you, Josh. You don't like the same shit as me, Dave. We all have different tastes and anything. You know what I mean? And so with this film, when I first watched it, the way it started off, you know what I mean? So I already knew basically that Michael Myers was going to be in the movie at the end only, and that they were making a different killer. You know what I mean? So that wasn't no surprise to me, and that was the main thing for Halloween Kills also. You know what I mean? Like one of the guys I knew, he's seen the screener. He was able to go see the film, like a sneak preview of the film, a year before it came out because it had shut down because of COVID. And so I was talking to him about it. He kind of filled me in and was just like, yeah, it's nothing crazy. Like, but Michael was like supernatural, and it is what it is. And I was just like, all right, so I knew Jamie Lee didn't die in that second film. And so it kind of just went from there. So, each these two films from the 2018, we were able to see it day before it came out.
Yep.
So these other two films, I kind of knew like the backstory of everything. And so it wasn't a surprise to me. But so I was going for the ride, I mean, I was sitting there watching it with Lauren, and I didn't want to let her know that, that they're going to focus on someone else. And so we were just going for the ride. And as soon as the film kicked off and that little kid, like how everything was going, and they were just setting it up like, oh, there's a new male babysitter, what I mean, doing all this stuff. And then it was just like going up like the whole different direction. I'm like, all right, this is going to be the kid, you know what I mean? So at that time I was like, all right, so that's Corey Cunningham. For most of the film, I liked the direction they were going, because they were trying something new. They were trying something different. They were being original. So I couldn't take anything away from that film. But to me, it was just like that last 25 minutes, man, that just kind of like ruined it for me. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, I
well, that's the thing. We fell in love with a different movie,
yeah.
The first half of the movie or the first 3/4 of the movie is a different movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think like for like what the three of us all probably, I think sounds like we collectively agreed, we kind of wanted that movie, and that we saw in the first 3/4, but then they did the thing where they felt like they had to make people happy.
Yeah.
They had to like finish the trilogy, make a homage to
I cried at the end.
Why?
I'd say it's finally over. No more.
Yeah, you were happy.
I will say it was a powerful ending. Just the end, like
The
where, yeah. So that was a good
Did
end.
you like the brains?
Oh yeah. My it was funny. My wife and my son were both like, "Oh," and I was like, "It's over." I was so happy. But it was a solid ending that I wish I had gotten a while ago. But you know, all in all, I was like, this is like the best Halloween movie ever. So,
well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but
yeah,
I did.
Dude, I loved it.
So I did like it, and I think a lot of what you guys are saying, I agree on. I definitely feel like there was an alternate version of a movie that it felt like they were going to do, but then, like I said, they felt like they were like, oh shit, well, I guess we have to wrap this trilogy up, so we got to bring Michael in. But I almost feel like there's a version of this movie where Michael didn't even really need to be real, and I've said this to a few people. I might have told you guys already. It was like Michael was almost like you said, Josh. He was like the embodiment of evil, and he's going into this new individual.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, so I mean, it definitely like this version of like, the new body of evil, and then he has a scarecrow mask. I think that would have been a super cool movie and a cool way to like continue the franchise, but like have it go in different directions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Brandon, you said something, and I had the thought when I was watching the film, and it didn't make sense to me, and it still doesn't. Yeah. So in Halloween Kills, he's like unstoppable. He's fighting everybody. He has all these martial arts skills. But in this one, suddenly he's super killable. Like, she kills him with basic things that they definitely could have done in Halloween. I didn't understand. Like, I was like, oh, there's no way she's killing him with these knives. Like, and but then I guess ultimately maybe he wouldn't have been dead until the very, very final scene. I don't know. It just seemed like he was way easily defeated compared to this guy who fought off 25 people in a street fight in part 2,
And then it was only 4 years later, I mean, I can see if it was like, it made it seem like it was like 20 years later or something, like, you know what I mean? It was just like crazy.
If you think about it, I mean, he was 75, so 4 years later, like
he's almost 80 years old. Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? Like 4 years to somebody that's 75, like is probably pretty killable at that point.
No, yeah. Oh yeah, that's the thing. It can go either way, man. It's just, I don't know.
It was just a weird thing to like overlook, though, like how killable he was.
I was thinking that too, and he was getting his ass kicked by the kid at first, and I was like, why is this happening? Like,
right. And I got it. Like, he just woke him up. Maybe he wasn't strong. I don't know. But then
he killed somebody, and he was like all powerful, and he was like, I'm God again.
Oh yeah, but did you see that? It was like his body was just like that. Like, it was just like coming back to him or some shit. Yeah. So it's just like he just like took some roids or some shit, like, because he got that strength back, like, because he got the kill.
Because evil came back, right? Like, so he was strengthened by evil, and that's why I thought it was like he was just going to be in his head, and that he didn't even really exist, and the kid was gonna come. But one thing I love, though, I love like how the story's set based on the town is living in fear, and it shows you how fear turns everybody ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like the babysitting family is like, so like, I get it, their kid died horrible, I'm so sorry, your kid was a piece of shit, and then like prank this kid, and the prank went terrible, so sad. But also, like, the parents were like, the mom especially, like, that fear just manifests in anger and hate, and you just start pointing the finger. I thought it was a really cool like premise, and like the story in the beginning was like the town was just in fear, and it turns everybody, like, you start to see everybody's ugly side.
Yeah. And I was sitting there just thinking about the film like so many times. Like, after I watched it, I was just sitting there and just kind of like thinking like ways that this trilogy could have been done to kind of like make things better. And I was talking to a few people like on Instagram and stuff, and I kind of like pitched this idea, like, kind of keep 2018 the same film, right? But take away the whole situation where you think that this guy survived. Like, you know what I mean? Just take it at like he died. And then Halloween Kills should have been like, okay, 4 years later. And then have that same story as Corey, same story with Corey happen, and then him go through the whole town and become the bad guy. Because, like we said, when we watch Halloween Kills, there was a lot of random killing. You know what I mean? It didn't make sense. It wasn't Michael Myers style. Like it wasn't. You know what I mean? It was like a crazy film, and then
he was going out of his way to kill people, which never.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so at that point in time, that could have been Corey. You know what I mean? Like that could have been a whole setup, because that would have made sense. That, hey, this isn't Michael Myers style. So going into Halloween Ends, you have Corey showing up and then purposely trying to get close to the family, like Jamie Lee Curtis and everybody, purposely doing it because he wants to be the new Michael Myers and setting it up like that. So the whole relationship with the granddaughter could have been like this whole thing where it was like a setup just to get next to Jamie Lee. And then boom, this whole shit happens, and then the actual real Michael Myers comes back at the end. Like, you know what I mean? If they would have did it that way, and then like Michael Myers kills this kid, like, you know what I mean? Or Corey unveiling himself in like a Scream style, you know what I mean? Like taking the mask off. Like, to me, that I think that would have like done like much better, but
so many
yeah.
different directions, but then they just cut it off.
Yeah.
And now like that storyline for Corey can't happen, obviously.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, to me, like I still say, at the end of the day, this trilogy, it does not have replay value to me. Like, I've watched each film. So I've watched 2018 twice because we seen it before it came out, and then I went to go take the kids to go see it in the theater. But other than that, I've never watched that film again. Halloween Kills, I watched the first night on Peacock, never watched it again. Halloween Ends, I watched it once and then kind of just like went back to kind of like watch like the end again to kind of like look at a certain way. But then I was just like, I don't think I can watch these films again, and not like, hey, let me put these films on, like, you know what I mean? And I think the whole thing is with me, of it taking like personal towards a Halloween, it was just that, as a fan of the Rob Zombie films, the way that those films got shitted on, like the first one, the 2007 film, what was it, 2007, right? Yeah,
Like
it got shitted on for kind of giving this guy like a backstory and kind of like just doing something different. And it kind of looks at it, and so you sit back and you watch these three films, and you see these people praise these fucking films that aren't really that good, and try to say that it's better than that first Rob Zombie film. It's just, to me, it's just kind of like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're open to your own opinion, but it's like you're throwing it out there. You're making an argument. You want to argue and try to tell me that these are better. I'm just like, okay, do what you got to do, but I'm just gonna tell you that I don't fuck with these new movies like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather watch Halloween H2O over and over than these films. And I think like everybody has their own way. Like I said, the people are gonna love these new films because this is probably the introduction to Halloween,
sure,
as a franchise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, Halloween H2O was the first Halloween I seen in theaters. You know what I mean? So everyone has their own way of seeing things, but it's hard, and it is what it is. Everybody has their own opinions, but I just think that this trilogy could have been much better, because you have Jamie Lee back and kind of just roll with it. But it just shows that now that this film didn't do as well as people thought it was going to be, now people want to give up because, David Gordon Green is supposed to have The Exorcist set now and have a trilogy for that. And so people are like, oh no, keep that guy away from it. But now it's keep him away from it. But you loved Halloween Kills. You love these other two films, right? So much now you want to keep him away from it because you didn't like Halloween Ends. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
I almost feel like he's looking for trouble, though. He's picking like the most beloved franchises.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Exorcist.
Yeah. But people said the same thing about Rob Zombie. You know what I mean? So it's like, honestly, it's like, do what you got to do. But it's like, at the end of the day, like Josh says, do we need it? No, but they're going to do this shit over and over. And that's why I praise the Terrifier 2 for setting the tone of setting something new. and going in a different direction and giving people somebody else to cheer for. You know what I mean? Giving somebody else a new icon and not watering down everybody else.
I have one other film that we can just quickly talk about because Brandon, I
Yep.
think you watched it, and Josh, I doubt you did. The new Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Josh, did you get it to it or no? All right, we don't have to take too much time about it, but I just have to say I was blown away.
Yeah.
I did not go in with like that. I like was sort of excited, and then I waited a long time to see it, kind of forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just watched it this weekend and I was like, whoa,
No.
good work on that one. Like felt like a regular Hellraiser movie, but better than most of the sequels.
Yeah, and so it's also you also have to look at it this way. It's a fucking Hulu film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
But it's David Bruckner, right? Is he
yeah.
And he's from the VHS films, which we love. So
Yep.
right there, that was another reason why I was sort of excited about it. But I thought it was like, it's a Hellraiser movie, so it's got sex, it's got greed, it's got violence, and but like the acting was great, storyline enjoyable, the Cenobites were cool, and then the female Pinhead.
Yeah. There's a lot of hate going on for this film, but you know what I mean, and at the same time, like I can understand it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the same way. It's like everybody's gonna want to compare it to the first film. The first few
first Hellraiser,
yeah.
Like, I know this is gonna bother people, kind of boring.
I'm really not a big Hellraiser fan, so but like, you know what I mean, I respect it, but there's people that love it, and so I'm there for it. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but at the end of the day, like I put the film on, it was whatever. Would I watch the new Hellraiser again? Probably not, but it was a movie, and so it was something to check out. It had a lot of hype behind it. Did it please everyone? No, you know what I mean, but that's fine. Like, you know what I mean, everyone's gonna have their own opinions on it and everything like that, but just know that you didn't have to go to your pocket. You didn't have to go to the movie theater and pay fucking $15 for a ticket to check it out. It was either you could take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure we have a lot, like you said, a lot of Hellraiser sequels that no one had asked for, and then you're just sitting there like, what the fuck is this? After it got to a certain point,
Pudgy Pinhead.
yeah.
And give me Hellraiser 2 or 3 over the original most days. But this one I thought I enjoyed, right after. It would be on my list right after those. I don't really get too much of like why there would be too much pushback, but I know people like to be.
Yeah, everyone
people love to be shitting on things. So
yeah, it is what it is. That's why now I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna say how I feel about it. If you don't feel the same way, I understand that. That's your feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't sit like Josh said, that's the best Halloween movie ever. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there just like, okay, well, guess what? Josh doesn't like this fucking series. He doesn't care about Michael Myers. So now it's like, okay, I understand from a certain point of view, but then, like, you know what I mean? And I've seen people saying Halloween Kills was ranked number 1 of the whole franchise. You know what I mean? And so it was just like I had to sit there and laugh at it, and it kind of keep it moving. Like, I think I showed you, but I just kept it moving, and you just, like I said, you just take people, the way that people think is definitely different, because everybody has their own way of the way of seeing things and how they enjoy things. So it is what it is. As long as everybody enjoyed it, like I said, again, at the end of the day, 2022 has been a fucking crazy year for horror, and I think that it's given everyone something that they can enjoy, from The Black Phone all the way to Nope. You know what I mean? It's been a good year. So
lots of films. I mean, when we can have these conversations about these like classic franchises and new upcoming franchises and movies that like that just kind of came out of the blue, like that's great. Awesome that we can even have these conversations. Just another real quick thing before we wrap up. We got to watch some movies for some of our recent interviews. So I know you guys watch Friendship games. So that I didn't do that interview, guys, and I didn't get to check out the movie. Is that one you guys would recommend?
Oh, definitely. Josh, you want
Yeah.
to talk on that?
So the movie was pretty crazy. Speaking of Hellraiser, the friendship game, the box became like a character.
Yep.
And I've been Max actually showed me the trailer a while ago. I've been looking forward to this, so I'm really glad we got it because it's something I wanted to see. The friendship game, it takes horror in a different direction, and I think it's, what do they call it, elevated horror now,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's smart, and a lot of crazy things happen, but the story itself, like from beginning to end, like it starts out and you're like, what is going on? And then it just gets super intense. And then
Mhm.
at the end, it kind of just like messes with your brain. Um, and it can be construed in different ways, which I really like. You know what I mean? Like Halloween had a definite plot and a definite subplot. Like
Sure.
the plot is da da da, then the subplot is town is afraid, end of fear. This one had a plot, but then it had these really interesting subplots, and it just messed with you throughout the whole thing. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, and the acting was superb. The like what's that girl's name? Peyton
List.
List was in it,
Yeah.
and
From Cobra
everybody in
Kai,
my house
right?
loved her. So it was kind of cool. They didn't want to watch it with me, but it was really good. It was
Mhm.
really good.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it. And it's not like a blood and guts movie per se, but it is definitely a good movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of the kids these days would definitely relate to it.
yeah,
Definitely just the friendships of everything, of like going through uh moving on, like, you know what I mean, when friendships you think they're gonna last forever, and then everyone kind of like goes their own direction. So definitely, like we talked about it, like with my kids, it's something that I'm sitting there going with them through it with them now, when they both transitioned into new grades and like new schools and stuff. And I'm just like, hey, you're gonna realize that like some people aren't gonna be your friends forever, you know what I mean? And you're gonna see people change. And so this is like what that film is basically about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can see people changing. It's either you guys can fight together, or you guys, you meet your maker. But
Yeah.
that film's going to be available on November 11th, and that's going to be in a theater, and it's also going to be on video on demand and digital. So definitely check that out. And if you're listening to this episode now, go back and check out the Scooter Corkle interview. He's the director that we had, and we were able to break down everything about the movie and talk about everything under the sun about this film, but no spoilers or anything like that. But definitely
yeah. I
check. It's a good
tried not
interview.
to give out any spoilers whatsoever. So
And just real quick, I got to interview Lorcan Finnegan, who was the
Mhm.
director of Nocebo. I'm not gonna lie, I loved Nocebo. That
Yeah.
is probably
oh my
that
god.
is definitely on my top 10 for this
Mhm.
year so far. It was in theaters this past Friday, the 4th.
Yep.
Um, I encourage everybody to check it out. It's gonna be on Shutter at some point. They don't have undisclosed date yet, but
Yeah.
it's like just great effects. The storyline's perfect. Just really good. Nocebo, definitely check it out, and check out the interview I did with Lorcan. He was very interesting, very smart guy. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Definitely.
I knew you would like that movie.
Oh, yeah,
Knew
yeah.
it.
It was right up my alley. After I
Mhm.
watched it, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for
Can
this.
Okay, so I just want to be honest with you. So I watched that movie, and I'm pretty sure it was for the Vortex Film Fest, and
Mhm.
there were a few people that watched it, and it got poor ratings, and I was like, "This is really good," and I gave it like, I don't know, 8 or something like that, like an 8.5, like really high, and it didn't make it, and I was a little bummed because it was a very unique experience,
Yeah,
and that's another thing. Horror now isn't just like blood, guts, kill them. Now it's like
Yeah.
this unique experience on each film, which takes you back to like renting the video. Every
yeah,
time you rented a video, you had to physically get it, you bring it
Mhm.
home, physically put it in, and it was like a whole experience. And
So-
I think we're getting back to that with the films themselves.
Yes. And you know what was really cool about this one? So it's kind of like folk horror mixed with like modern day. But like I do hope people listen to that interview, because he was telling me like the authenticity that went into that film. Like they were trying to find an actress from a specific area so she would speak a specific language so it would fit their folklore that they were intertwining with the plot. Super authentic, genuine, and just smart. And I love that like they did their research. I was like blown away, and it was such an enjoyable conversation with this dude. But like it made me like, I loved the film when I went into it, but like when the things he was saying made me appreciate it 1,000 times more.
Not out yet, right?
It was out this past.
Oh yeah, definitely check it out. The acting is absolutely freaking spectacular.
Where he's from
Ireland.
Ireland, yeah. So it was like the time difference. So me and Josh weren't able to kind of do that due to our work schedules and everything like that. But damn, like that was definitely a film that I wanted to kind of talk about also. You know what I mean? Because like just the style of everything that he had gone through. Like if you check him out on Instagram, you know, like his post, he has like Dublin street photos and just even the fashion sense. And so that's, I know fashion played a big role in this this film, you know, so he was able to kind of incorporate a lot of things that he loved about the things that he liked into this film, you know, and like you said, it was just like authentic to the point of everything. So
yeah, absolutely. So definitely, yeah, without good round of movies for us to be able to talk to the filmmakers about. So pretty cool. The quality of films that are going to be coming out, and a lot of these again, they're like going to be on Shudder, so you guys will have access to them at some point. If you're not, you know, into doing the on-demand stuff. So
I just want to say thank you to all the listeners, you know, everyone out there. We were able to kind of talk to a few people, and they, you know, people say, hey, we missed this style of you guys, you know, just sitting there talking and kind of just being you three and kind of like having a good time and talking about films, you know. They're like, we love the interviews, but we miss you guys. So we definitely hear you guys, and we're going to start doing this a little bit more and keep it a mixed bag, you know what I mean, and have the interviews and bring it back to us joking and, you know, kidding around with each other and stuff like that. So if you've been a day one listener and you missed that stuff, it's coming back, and we appreciate all the support, and like, thank you.
Your camera's doing this crazy thing right now, Brandon. It looks so cinematic. You see that? It just did this like, woo. That was like the most dramatic thing ever. That was awesome.
Yeah, I got a new camera.
That was so
Actually,
funny.
guess what? It's not even a camera. It's my iPhone 14. So
yeah, they do this thing now, right? Where they like get the focal point.
Yeah, you can use your phone as a webcam now. So
damn. All right.
Wow.
And
I get text messages. Did you guys know that?
Not all the time. You only get like 10 a day.
Yeah, you don't even. What you guys say?
Hey, my phone gets 10 text messages, and then it just erases the rest.
I don't even know how that's a thing, dude. And this is
James Bond phone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, we got to wrap up here, guys. But thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed our episode. Back to our roots a little bit, and everybody have a great night.
Take it easy.
Bye, guys.